Shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, this some social shit for everyone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I made this be myself, so hear me. Woo! I mean, like, we can pull that clown shit away. This some real shit for you. I'm spazzing right now, so listen, let's go. Yeah. It's in their bones, the thugs in harmony for the love of the money. Then fall victim for the cookie, then turn pussy, it's lonely. You said you hold it down when life get rough, we're here now, so show me. We move them losses to them wins. Heavy pounds, we make it ends meet. Converse with only few who make me feel like I be 10 feet.
Yes, peeps, what's going on, man? We're back in the damn building. As always, guys, smash the like button. Guys, I'm getting bored of saying it, man. Just smash the bloody like button for me, please. Now, today we are taking a look at Rasmus Hojlund. This one is kind of funny, yeah, because I'll be honest with you. Listen, before he moved to Manchester United, right? Like, I thought, yo, man, like they're getting in, you know, this is at the time anyway, and he's still young, by the way. But at the time, I thought, young player, he was doing his thing at Atalanta. I think he'd even just made the move prior to that, you know, to Atalanta. And, you know, there was a lot of talk about him, you know, Danish international and stuff like that. You know, he was doing his thing, man. He was doing his thing. Like, he had a crazy, when you look at it on the face of it, he joined Manchester United in the 23-24 season, but he had like a crazy 2 years prior to that, you know, playing for Sturm Graz in the Austrian Bundesliga, you know, playing, you know, for Copenhagen in the Danish Superliga. Really, I would say from 2020 till he moved to Manchester United in 2023, for those 3 years, it just looked like it was just progression for this guy. Like, it just thought, right, okay, cool. Like, he's doing all these things, you know, he's scoring all, like, it's not even, he wasn't scoring like a crazy amount of goals. Let me not sit here and lie, right? He wasn't doing that. But what he was doing was he was showcasing that, you know what, I might be ready for the next step. I really, really might be ready for that next step. But like, and it's difficult. I will say this much: it's very, very difficult, because we're talking about a player who's only 22 years of age, and there was a lot of comparisons at the time because of his style of play, because of his build, and, you know, things that he does, you know, in terms of that kind of Erling Haaland. And I think what we've all got to start doing is we need to stop comparing people to Erling Haaland first and foremost, because that guy's a freak of nature, you know, in himself. And, you know, as I mentioned before, I know, listen, at the time, this is obviously back when they signed him. Man United paid a fixed fee of 75 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons, you know, for a 20-year-old at the time, you know, 5 + 1 year contract. Atalanta at the time, they wanted 90 mil. That's the level that I felt he was. Okay, he wasn't operating at a 75 million euro level. I'll tell you that for free. Definitely wasn't doing that, because that's what Haaland would have been. Had Haaland moved in today's day and age doing what he had been doing at that age, then yeah, it would have made sense. But obviously, Atalanta, you know what I mean? It's just one of those. At the time, he was a hot property in Europe, and do you know what I mean? 20 years old, he looked like he was just going upwards. You know, we saw Amad Diallo, he was doing his thing at Atalanta. So you thought, okay, like, we can get another player in. So, and Manchester United are kind of dumb anyway. Like, they pay these crazy fees and prices and wages, you know, for a lot of these kind of players that they do sign. So, again, it wasn't a madness like in itself. You was more paying for the potential. You were like, you know what, if we can get this guy now, because obviously Manchester United you know, the board and the club probably thought, well, listen, we ain't trying to miss out on like we missed out on the Haaland, you know, when we could have gone for peanuts. Okay, this time, yes, we'll pay over the odds, but let's just get him in. You know, it almost felt like that kind of vibe. And again, I kind of understand that, you know, to a certain degree. But yeah, since then, I don't know, man. It's been kind of peak for him, man. And the thing is, I like Hojlund. I actually do like Hojlund. I think Hojlund is a decent player. But this season, and listen, like I said, he's 22 years of age. He's only been at Manchester. This is the second season at Manchester United. So obviously there is a little bit of like, okay, we need to kind of understand that he still needs to develop as a football player in a general sense. But unfortunately, bro, you played 21 matches, maybe not all starts, but 2 goals in the Premier League. I mean, he got 5 in the Europa League, which is crazy. But 2 in the Prem, it's not looking good. It's not really looking good. And, you know, like, as I said before, you know, before he moved to Manchester United, you know, he was, as I said, he was playing, you know, for in the Austrian Bundesliga, and then moved to Atalanta, I think, in the same season. So it's 42 games, 16 goals, 7 assists. That's what you was buying. But since he's been here 51 games and only 12 goals, that is. I mean, the fact that Manchester United got 20 losses in that time and only won 19 since he's been here, like in the games that he's played, that's not great. Do you know what I mean? That's never going to be a good thing, and that's more to do with Manchester United than it does with him, right? But still, it's like, the thing is, I don't even know at this point when it comes to Hojlund, because the guy is just struggling at this moment in time, and it seems to be like the little kind of things. And it's weird though. Like I said, I still think there's a player in there. I don't know what it is. Like, my stocks are not completely gone with someone like a Rasmus Hojlund, right? This is obviously him against Manchester City. And I thought he was good in that game, and he showcased what he's about. He is someone who likes to run the channels. That's what he can do. He can run the channels, and he can get the team moving further up the field. Now, when you've got the other pieces in and around him, which he had at Atalanta, but obviously clearly doesn't have at Manchester United, but you saw in this game, Martinez picking up the ball, obviously, especially when you're coming up against a high line, he can run. And the thing is, he's on doing that. He's on making those runs. He's on, running into the corner, holding up the ball, waiting for his teammates to come in. If he needs to dribble, he'll do that. If he needs to, wait for, the rest of his teammates, he can do all of that. Like I don't have a problem. Like, I don't look at that and think, oh yeah, he can't do that. He can do that. And he showcased in this game specifically, but in other games, he showcased that he can do that. But like I said, he's such a willing runner. And usually when you think about it, in most teams, you would love to have someone like that who's just a willing runner, in terms of your striking, which is probably the reason why he even plays. Who knows? I don't know what, someone like Ruben Amorim or a Ten Hag was thinking at the time. But, someone who can do these kind of things, it is valuable. It is very, very valuable. Yes, you want him to score more goals. Yes, you want him to, do more things, so to speak. But I do think that also depends on the players in and around him. And where the players in and around him haven't really been performing, then you're not going to necessarily see the best of his work. I.e., if Firmino didn't have Mane and Salah, the work that he was doing would be kind of, because you'd be like, well, you don't score that many goals as it is, kind of thing. You don't score enough, shall we say. Obviously more than Hojlund, but he doesn't score enough, and you're not really doing as much. But when you've got these other guys who are helping out, it looks better. And I feel like your teammates can make you look a little bit better than they are currently. And I just felt like these two pictures here up on the screen kind of epitomized what I felt Hojlund is actually good at. And he's shown it in moments. Now, of course, he's 22 years of age. He does need to show a bit more consistency in that kind of regards. I totally understand that, and I totally agree with that. But ultimately, he can only do so much. And that's the way I kind of look at it when I think about someone like Hojlund, is that, yes, I still think he needs to improve. I mean, your record is not great, if I'm being totally honest with you. I mean, 12 goals in 51 appearances. I can understand why Manchester United fans are not happy, especially since they've had all the best strikers in previous years. If it's not Ronaldo, it's, well, Ronaldo's on the wing, but guys who score goals, Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez, the Giggses, the Beckhams, and, all of these kind of players, Teddy Sheringham, York, Cole, Solskjaer, even, like, you've had all of these kind of guys, right? So I get it. I totally understand as to why Man United fans would be frustrated. I'd be frustrated too, to be fair. But when I look down, I'm like, well, you've won 19 games and you've lost 20. I don't look at, that's not his fault. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, in some games you can say, well, he should have scored here, he should have done that. I get that. And I also get why you'd be frustrated. I'm not here to tell you guys what you should and shouldn't feel, but I do feel that he does possess quality. He does have quality that I just don't think that you're utilizing. And that City game, hence the reason why I kept I put it up there and, use that clip, is why. Now, yes, he misses chances. He misses opportunities and things like that. I get all of that. And again, like I say, those things are going to be hard for me to really legislate as to why you should keep him and why he should always be starting. But I think that if you get him into these positions, into these channels, he showcased before when he was at Atalanta, when you get him into these, when you get him operating in these kind of areas, he can be quite deadly. He can finish. Like, let's not act like the guy can never finish and you've never seen it. He can finish. Obviously, he just needs to be a bit more consistent with it. And maybe he does need to do a little bit more. Maybe he does need to work on, in certain kind of areas of his game That's fine, of course, like any other, young player. That's just what they need to do. But I do think the other pieces in and around him are not helping him at this moment in time at Manchester United, in terms of whoever it is might be playing, in behind him, whether it's 𝐒𝐔𝐁𝐒, Bruno Fernandes, Diallo, and all these other kind of guys, Anthony, when he was there. Like, these people are not also helping because of their level of performance and the things that the manager is asking them to do. It's just not really working. But he was, in this game, it was very similar to what we saw from 𝐒𝐁𝐄 under Ruben Amorim, which is run the channels, get yourself into these kind of positions, make things happen from there, or wait for, your other players. And again, it's that if he can get a similar kind of tune, I can't see why, someone like Hojlund cannot get better. Now, obviously, everything's all time sensitive, right? You're not going to want to sit here and watch this for too much longer. You're going to want to think, okay, well, we want a little bit of a return on our investment because we spent so much money on you, which is totally understandable. And with the problems financially that Manchester United seem to find themselves in at this current moment in time, I get all of that. But yeah, for me, I just look at, Hojlund, and I think to myself, listen, you've got a young player who has the raw attribute. You know what he reminds me of, yeah? He's almost like, and it's funny, he almost reminds me a bit like of a Darwin Núñez. Obviously, the difference being is that Darwin Núñez is older by like 3 or 4 years, I think 25, 26 years of age. So he's got 3-4 years on him, in terms of, where you're at this kind of stage and stuff like that. When they signed him, he was only 20. Like, let's not forget that. The guy was only 20. He wasn't a 23, 24-year-old that we signed. And, it was about making that next step. I don't know what Manchester United fans thought he would be. Maybe they thought, of course, he would just be better than he is right now, which is fair. But I almost feel like they put this crazy expectation on him. And I'm like, yeah, you can have that expectation, but it's a little bit unrealistic kind of thing. And I just think if you get the pieces in and around him, he has shown in moments that he could be a decent option for you guys. Like, let's put it this way: who else are you got out there that you guys realistically can get? In terms of a young player, if he's developed properly. And I think that's also another thing that kills him, is that Manchester United is a place that you just go there. That's where dreams go to die. Like I've said this 100 times, it is not the place to go as a young player. It really isn't. Like, if you're a young player who's on the come up and like Lenny Euro, I was like, that's a bad move, bro. That's a very, very bad move for you. It's not the place. You need to go somewhere else, or you just need to stay where you're at and you're developing, and you'll get a better move later on. Manchester United is not the right place. It's not the right environment. Now, United fans don't care because they want these players, but just in a general outlook and general perspective, yeah, it's not the best place for you to go and play your football. If I'm being totally honest with you, constant manager, upheaval, things are always changing and players coming in and out, and it's too much. So it's not really a great environment for you to be able to develop. So it was always going to be difficult. And when you've had to change from an Erik ten Hag style, now you're playing under Ruben Amorim, so it's a different style, different kind of thinking, different jobs potentially that the manager's asking you to do. This is one of the reasons why I feel like he's, just struggling this season specifically. Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. I think I still believe that there's a player in there, but listen, next season is, for me, I look at it as, especially because you're going to keep him unless someone comes in with a bid, but it looks like you're going to keep him, right? So for me, you have next season. Now, I know you're still young, you're 22 years of age. Next season, you'll be, 23. I'm looking at you now thinking, bro, if you don't show some level of improvement, it's not going to end well for you. I'll be honest, it really won't. I don't think people have the patience to just wait. Okay, yeah, maybe in year 4, year 5, and it's just not going to work like that. So unless they get another striker in who plays as the main guy, and he now becomes this rotational piece for the time being, which might even be a better idea, is you get an older kind of player, a bit more experience, can do exactly what the manager wants. Let Hojlund learn off this guy, because at the moment he's not learning off anybody. So maybe get someone else in who's a bit more experienced for him to just learn off and understand the game a little bit better, because again, he's still young, so he still needs to develop in different areas. Get him to do that. Then we might be able to see the best, of Rasmus Hojlund. But listen, man, United fans, even just fans of football, man, let me know what you think about Rasmus Hojlund. Please leave your bias at the door. You know what I mean? Let me know what you really think in terms of Hojlund. Do you think that there is a player in there? Do you think that, he might be able to come good in the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, people, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.